Hi girls, how are you? Welcome back to science. Hope you had a good Easter. I wanted to just explain something to you today, and to help explain, I'm using my favourite cup, which is my Paw Patrol cup. Great show, big fan. And what I'm doing today is I'm drinking some tea, as you can see, and I'm going to add some sugar into my tea, like this. Have a look. There you go. That's 1 teaspoon. That's 2 teaspoons. That's 3 teaspoons. That's 4. Come on, you've all done this at home, haven't you? You've all tried this. You've all tried to get as much sugar as you can into your tea, haven't you? You've all done this. And eventually what happens is all the sugar is left down the bottom. Isn't that right? So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at some of the terminology, or some of the words that we need to use around that. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to learn about is, what is this? This is a mixture of something that we've dissolved into a liquid. Okay, so the thing that we're dissolving in this case is the sugar, and we call the sugar the solute. All right, I'm going to show you that word in a minute. The tea in this case is what it's being dissolved in, and that's called the solvent. And the mixture of these two things is called a solution. So this is a solution of sugar in tea. All right. So this is what these words look like. The solute in this case is the sugar. The solvent in this case is the tea. And the solution in this case is the solution of tea with sugar, like that. All right. So they're really important words, and it's really important that we understand what they mean. And what I'm going to do today is set you a little bit of a challenge, which is to try to get you to do a little bit of an experiment. I'm sure you're dying to get back to doing science experiments. So what we're going to try and do today is we're going to try and do one. Like I said, I'm sure you've all done this, where you've taken the sugar and you've put in as much as you can into the tea. And when you reach a point eventually where you can't put any more sugar in the tea, that sugar just sits down the bottom, it doesn't dissolve. Okay, it just sits down the bottom, it doesn't dissolve at all. And there's a word for that too. And that word is called a saturated solution. Okay, so when we can't put any more sugar in the tea, it's saturated. Think of the word that we use day to day when it's raining really hard and you get absolutely soaked. You couldn't be any wetter, you're saturated, aren't you? And that's where that word comes from. Okay, so saturated means we can't put any more sugar in the tea. And it's really obvious because the sugar just sits down the bottom. It's not necessarily obvious in tea, but it's very obvious in water. And that's where our experiment comes in today. Because what you guys are going to do is, you're going to do a little bit of a kitchen chemistry challenge, if we can, all right? Now, I want you to try your best to do this. If it's not possible, I know it might not be possible for everyone, that's absolutely fine. I just want you to go over the words and be familiar with those words. But if these resources are available to you, if you have sugar lying around at home, and if you have scales, even better. If you have a measuring jug, even better, that's great. If you don't, that's okay too. So I'm just going to show you that equipment now. You might have a scales like this, and you might have a measuring jug like this at home, and if you do, that's great. If you don't, please don't go out and get them. You can't anyway, there's nothing open. But just use cups and teaspoons, all right? And what you're going to do is you're going to take 1 cup of hot water, like this. This is very hot. Obviously, you can't tell on a video it's hot, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. And this is cold. And if you have a measuring jug, you're going to measure out exactly the same amount of water in both cups, all right? If you don't have a measuring jug, just fill them as best you can with your eye to equal amounts, like I've done here. Again, remember, this is cold, this is hot. You just have to take my word for it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take some sugar. Again, if you have a weighing scales like this, as you can see, I have my lucky Paw Patrol weighing scales here. You can put the sugar in there like that, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to measure how much sugar you can dissolve into your hot cup of water before it becomes a saturated solution. All right, so you're going to measure the mass of how much sugar you can add into your cup before it becomes a saturated solution. Then you're going to do the same thing with the cold water. You're going to measure how much sugar you can get from your weighing scales into the cold water and see how much sugar you can get in there. Again, if you don't have a weighing scales, that's fine. Just count the teaspoons. Count literally how many teaspoons of sugar you can put into your cup and stir before it's sitting down the bottom. It's not dissolving anymore. All right? And I want you to compare those two numbers. I want you to work out how much sugar you can get into the hot cup and how much sugar you can get into the cold cup. and we'll see if those two numbers are the same or if they're different. Now, if you're able, and if you think it's something you can do, see if you can work out from that then how much you can get per litre. Okay, so remember, there's 1,000 millilitres in a litre. So if you're using your jug, you might see on the side of my jug here, you probably can't see it very clearly, but that says half a litre. Okay, so if I have less than a litre in this, I should be able to calculate how much sugar I can get into a litre of liquid. Okay, some of you might be able to do that. If you can't, don't worry about it. It's just a challenge I want to see some of you might be able to do. Some of you have been very on the ball about doing your work over the last couple of weeks, and I want to make sure that you've got something to do for yourselves. So the important things today, just to go over it again, are the new words that we learned today: solute, solvent, solution, saturated solution. And then if you have the resources available to you, I want you to try this challenge to see how much sugar you can dissolve in a hot water, how much sugar you can dissolve in cold water. Compare those two numbers, write them down, tell me what they are, see if you can measure it in grams, and then see if you can work out in grams per litre how much sugar you got in the hot water and how much sugar you got in the cold water. Let me know, send me a mail when you've got it done. If you've got a picture of it, even better, you can send it to me, and we'll have a chat in a couple of days about that. Okay, well done. Hope Easter went well. Chat soon. Bye-bye.